Hey guys, good morning. Today I'm going to share a book that I've actually had for, probably 30 years. It was my favorite book when I was a kid, and it is called A Zoo for Mr. Muster. I read it to my own children quite a bit when they were younger, and if I'm not mistaken, this book came from my dad, because if I look at the date in here on the copyright page, this book was printed in 1962. So this book is really, really old, and I keep it high up on my bookshelf so it doesn't get messed up. But I've always read it to all of my first grade classes when I used to teach first grade. The author and the pictures are both by Arnold Lobel, as it says down there. So here we go. Every sunny day, Mr. Muster put on his vest and coat and hat and walked happily along the street to his favorite place, the Park Zoo. Mr. Muster loved all the animals in the zoo, and all the animals in the zoo loved Mr. Muster. The elephants trumpeted loudly when they saw him coming through the entrance gate. And there's the elephants. The lions began to roar. The birds and monkeys screeched and chattered their welcome. There was so much noise that the zookeeper had to put his fingers in his ears. There's Mr. Muster over there. Mr. Muster always spent the whole day at the zoo. Why do you guys think the animals love him so much? When I was a little boy, I thought maybe he snuck them treats. I don't know. Doesn't really say. When night came, Mr. Muster felt sad. He hated to say goodbye to the animals, and they hated to say goodbye to him. I only live at the end of the street, sighed Mr. Muster, but it seems far, far away when I must leave my friends. That's that page there. Super sad. Mr. Muster did not live alone. He had 2 goldfish in a large bowl and a canary that sang all the time. Still, when it was rainy or snowy or sleety and Mr. Muster could not go to the zoo, he felt lonely and missed his friends very much. There's his canary in a cage, and there's the 2 goldfish. One day, while the zookeeper was taking a nap, an elephant took his key. That night, the elephant opened all the cage doors. The animals knew exactly what they wanted to do. Uh-oh. I think we've got some trouble coming. They walked to the big apartment house where Mr. Muster lived and tiptoed past the doorman. I don't know if they could actually sneak by somebody with all that noise. Mr. Muster had just gone to bed when his doorbell rang. Goodness gracious, said Mr. Muster when he found all of his friends outside the door. Come in. Oh, do come in, he said. You think they're all going to fit? The next morning, the zookeeper could not believe his eyes. My animals are gone. They're gone, he cried. The policeman came and began searching everywhere. And there they are looking for him. In the apartment house where Mr. Muster lived, someone saw an elephant in the elevator and a hippopotamus in the hallway. Some strange things began to happen, and some strange noises were heard from behind Mr. Muster's door. Someone called the police, and they came quickly. The zookeeper came with them. The policeman knocked loudly on Mr. Muster's door. Open up in the name of the law, they cried. The door opened slowly, and there stood Mr. Muster. Good day, gentlemen. Won't you join us for lunch? He said. Mr. Muster looks happy. The police do not. This was my favorite page when I was a kid, because I'm going to tell you this cake looks delicious, and you'll see it in a second. In the middle of the table was a huge chocolate cake that Mr. Muster had baked. There it is, that huge, delicious chocolate. I don't know why it looked so good to me, but it did. And there they all are, waiting for their snack. The zookeeper and the policeman were too surprised to speak. Finally, the zookeeper said, all these animals must come back to the zoo at once. At this, there was a great roaring and trumpeting and screeching as the animals ran from the table to find hiding places. Halt in the name of the law, shouted the policeman. And there's the zookeeper and the police, and there's all the animals running off. The animals hid in the bathroom and in the bedroom and any place they could find. Look at those elephants. I don't think they fit there under the bed. Mr. Muster, said the zookeeper, perhaps they will listen to you. Please, please, Mr. Muster, ask them to come back to the zoo. If you can do this, I'll do anything for you. I'll even make you an assistant zookeeper with a uniform and a badge. And he's begging. Mr. Muster is thinking about it. When they heard this, all the animals jumped from their hiding places. They all marched back to the zoo with Mr. Muster in the lead. They're happy to have him as an assistant zookeeper, I think. Let's see. Soon, the animals were happily in their cages at the park zoo, and happiest of all was Mr. Muster with his uniform, his badge, and all of his friends close by all the time. And here he is with his sign, M. Muster, Assistant Zookeeper, on duty 24 hours a day. And there they all are, super happy. And look who we brought along, his little 2 goldfish and canary. And here he is, tucked in at night, happy as can be. Hope you guys enjoyed the story. I'm Mr. Rogers, a reading interventionist at James Hurst. And maybe I'll read you guys another book pretty soon. Thanks.